السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم آمين. أما بعد. So welcome back everybody to the review session. We're on day 8 already. This is the last day of the third intensive. Alhamdulillah, we've all put in, what is this now, like 90 hours? MashaAllah. Um, when will the poster winner be announced? Inshallah, by the beginning of the next intensive, so on Friday. Still sorting through the around 500 entries, I think. Let me double. Oh, excuse me. Let me double check. Yeah, somewhere around 500-600. So I have to sort through all of them and pick out the top 10 or top 10-ish, and then I'm gonna send those to Ustad, and then Ustad is gonna pick the actual winner, inshallah. So by Friday, bi'idhnillah. All right. So as usual, inshallah, start sending in the questions so we can get some of those questions answered, inshallah. And please excuse my hiccuping. Uh, Unfortunately, I can't really stop it, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. Can I go through the program that enables us to type in Arabic? Um, well, the program that lets you type in Arabic, it's not a program, it's just a setting on your computer. So whether you have Mac or Windows, you should be able to go into excuse me. You should be able to go into your keyboard settings, and in your keyboard settings, there's a language option, and in the language option, you select Arabic, and for Windows at least, I know there are different options. I'm not too sure on Mac, but for Windows, you're going to see a bunch of different options for different places. The one that Ustad and I use, it's it's Arab, it's Arabic, Saudi Arabia, and there are two options: Arabic 101 and 102. We use the Arabic 101 from Saudi. How do you add harakat? You add them using the shift key. So maybe I can show this. Let me see. 1 second. Oh, sorry, I was muted that whole time. I didn't even notice. Let me open that again. Okay, here it is one more time. Sorry about that the first time. So this is the English version. Here, if I change it, it's not changing anymore. Well, hmm. Okay, I fixed it. Now here we go. So the regular keys, you'll get used to them as you type more and more. To get to the harakat and a few extra letters, you need to hold shift. So holding shift gives you, access to like mad, lam, alif, hamza, alif on the top and on the bottom, and then the harakat. So the sukoon is on X, single kasra on A, double kasra on S, single fatha on Q, double fatha on W, single dhamma on E, double dhamma on R, and then shadda is on the key that's to the left of the number 1. And all these, you would access them holding the shift key. And I think that's everything. I know some of you are already going to ask, but there is no uh, dagger alif, small alif. That's not anywhere on the keyboard. That's a shortcut that Ustad uses in Microsoft Word. All right, give me another second. I'm going to go drink a lot of water, and I'll be back. Okay, inshallah, that should fix it. But let's move on to questions. I just went over Asma, Kasra, Fatha, and Dhamma are using the shift key. Oh, the one that he uses to bring ayat into Microsoft Word, I believe it's called Quran for MS Word, but you would have to ask Ustad about that one. I don't use it, and I don't know how to install it either. Okay, yeah, good. Let's start with the two families we learned yesterday. So all of you should have access to this doc now, and this doc will get updated with the ones we're going to learn today as well. But the first family we learned yesterday was ta'allama. So going through the sarf of ta'allama, we have ta'allama, yata'allamu, and keep in mind this is one of the families that starts with ya in the present tense instead of you. The first three that we learned, they start with you. But all the ones we're going to learn from ta'allama onwards start with ya. Not with dhamma, but with fatha. So yata'allamu, and keep in mind that The distinguishing characteristic. So each family has something about it that's unique, right? So Aslama had the Hamza, um, Allama had the Shadda, Jahada had the Alif. In this one, what's unique about this one is Ta and Shadda. Ta and Shadda. That's what's unique about Ta'allama, the Ta'allama family. So Ta'allama yata'allamu ta'alluman fahuwa muta'allimun. تعلم يتعلم تعلما فهو متعلم الأمر منه تعلم والنهي عنه لا تتعلم والظرف منه متعلم. And then for the next one تساءل, just like how family uh, the تعلم family was similar to the علم family with the ta at the beginning, the Tasa'ala family is kind of like the Jahada family with a ta at the beginning. So what's unique about this is the ta plus alif. The ta and the alif together are what's unique about Tasa'ala. So going through the surah, Tasa'ala yatasa'alu, again, ya, not you. Yatasa'alu, tasa'ulan fahuwa mutasa'ilun, tusu'ila yutasa'alu, tasa'ulan fahuwa mutasa'alun. الأمر منه تساءل والنهي عنه لا تتساءل والظرف منه متساءل. The difference between ism maf'ul, passive past tense, and passive present tense. Um, okay, so this is passive past tense. Passive past tense, the key thing to remember here, the word that we're talking about is a fi'l. Passive present tense, the word will also be a fi'l. But for ism maf'ul, the word is an ism, right? Ism maf'ul. So passive past and present are fi'ls, ism maf'ul is an ism. That's one difference. In passive past tense, whatever the action is, in this case, tasa'ala means to ask. So whatever the action is, we're removing the doer, right? So there's a done to, but there's no doer. To su'ila, he was asked. Who is asking him? We don't know. But he is being asked, and it's in the past tense. He was asked. He's not being asked. He's not going to be asked. He was already asked. Past tense. Now, present tense is something that's happening currently, but we still don't know who the doer is. So yutasa'alu means he is being asked right now. As we speak, he's being asked, but we don't know who he's being asked by. And then mutasa'alun is an ism that represents the person that is asked. So for example, if I asked you a question, then I can now call you a mutasa'al because you were asked a question. Can I explain a bit more shape and content? So shape is just all of these different forms. Each of these different forms, past tense, present tense, masdar, ism fa'il, past passive, present passive, ism maf'ul, fi'l amr, fi'l nahi, and ism dharf. These are all different. These are all different shapes. Okay, these are all different shapes, and the content inside of them is the root letters. So in the case of tasa'ala, the root letters are sin, hamza, and lam. So sin is the fa letter, hamza is the ain letter, and lam is the lam letter. So if we put it into fa'in lam, we would get tafa'ala, tafa'ala. The ta and the alif are part of the family, and then fa, ain, and lam fit into it. Tafa'ala. So whatever the shape is already predetermined for the family, right? So in aslama, the shape was hamza at the beginning, and then it was fatha and sukun, as followed by two fathas, right? So we're just plugging in the root letters into that. Here it's tasa'ala, and we're just plugging in the root letters. Tafa'ala, tasa'ala, ta'awana. We could plug anything into it. Tajahada, right? That's we're taking the roots and we're plugging it into the shape. That's what we mean. So the contents are the root. We're just plugging it into the shape. And then the same thing would be true here. Yatasa'alu, yata'awanu, yatajahadu, yatafa'alu. So that's just kind of briefly what we mean by content and uh, and shape. Aziza, that's correct. Ajisam is a plural. It's a non-human plural. So we made the fi'l a singular feminine. Can we go through page 43? If we run out of questions, sort that are related to what we're talking about right now with sarf, then we'll go through page. We'll start going through page 43. How is tasa'ala different from saying sa'ala or sa'ala? Well, there's a whole extra ta at the beginning. That's how it's different. Yeah, so if I didn't translate the passive, that's because that word actually doesn't have a passive. So you can never actually say uslima or yuslamu. Um, that's those aren't real words. Yeah, that's why I didn't translate them. So aslama is intransitive. Oh, we're not worrying about meaning right now, so we are not worrying about meaning right now. Why do some families have two masdars? Well, the reality of it is that every family has more than one masdar. Um, it's just that you're getting what you're getting right now. What about what's that? What about izhab, which means idhab. Okay. Oh, you're adding somebody. Okay, I thought that was a question. How many years will it take to know Arabic like you? Um, well, that's assuming that. Never mind. How many years have I studied? I only studied 1 year actively. That was when I did Bayyinah. Since then, I've just kind of been on and off because I have other studies too. Um, so it's just kind of been passive studying since then. So really, I mean, as long as you put in work, it can take anywhere. But you could reach this level, and my level isn't really that high, right? So you could reach my level within a year, to be honest, easily if you put in the work. How will you know which three letters are root letters? You will know. Don't worry about it right now. You'll know. Yeah, Mishi, a lot of sarf is just memorizing. Passive is not recognized by u in the beginning. It's recognized by u and e. It's u and then e at the end. That's how passive is recognized. And that's only for past tense. For present tense, it's u and a. You need both, not just the u to recognize passive. Amjad, you are right for isms because the ism maf'ul is an ism. We can make it rafa' or nasab or jar. We can say, for example, Muslimun, Musliman, and Muslimin, right? We can do all of that. And we can also add alif lam. We can take away alif lam. We can change the number to dual and plural. We can change the gender because this is a human word too. We can say Muslamatun or Muslamatun. Right now, um, actually, I'll ask Ustad for extra examples, inshallah, when he comes. Musallim, sallama yusallimu tasliman fahuwa musallim. So that's where musallim would come from. It would be the ism fa'il for sallama, which is the allama family. Does the dharf follow the Muslim chart? It will follow as much as it can, but because it's a non-human word, we can't change the gender. So that's something that you're gonna have to get used to. For human words, we can make them masculine and feminine. So I can take Muslim and I can make it feminine. Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin. I can also say Muslimatun, Muslimatan, Muslimatin. But for non-human words, I can't just change the gender, right? If I have, for example, a masjid, masjidun, masjidun, masjidan, masjidin. I can't make a masjid feminine. I can't say masjidatun. That's just not something I can do because a masjid is just a masjid. Whatever its gender is, it's what it is. It's just been assigned a gender, and I can't change it. Um, so let's do another example, like shams, right? Shamsun, shamsan, shamsin. This is one of our words that are feminine because the Arab said so, and I can't make it masculine in any way. Whatever the gender of a non-human word is, that's just what it is, and I can't change it. So for those words, you follow the Muslim chart as much as you can. So I can follow the first column, Shamsun, Shamsan, Shamsin. I can follow the second column, Shamsani, Shamsaini, Shamsaini. But then I would need to look for the third column. I would need to see what is the plural. Maybe it'll have a feminine plural ending. Maybe it'll be a broken plural. You would have to look it up. If you replace root letters with fa'in lam, will meaning be changed? If you replace anything, the meaning changes because it's not the same thing anymore. So yes, if I replace root letters, the meaning changes. What font do I use to type in Arabic? Well, I mostly use Google Docs when I take notes and stuff. So in Google Docs, I use the Amiri font. You should be able to see it here. But I know that when Ustad uses Microsoft Word, he uses a font called it's like KFP GH something. Let's see if I can find it. KFP GH Arabic font. Oh, this is it. KFGQPC Uthman. That's the font. KFGQPC. So if you want to Google it, that's how you Google it, and then you can download that into Word. That's the one Ustad uses. Can I add pronouns to commands and forbidding fi'als? Yes, you can. For example, if I said kataba yaktubu, which means to write. Yaktubu, the command for yaktubu would be uktub. Uktubhu. If I say uktubhu, I added the hu at the end. That would mean write it. Write it. So yes, you can add pronouns. Or la taktubhu. Don't write it. Perfectly valid. Why is the word rasulu rafa' in ayah 1 of Surah Al-Munafiqun? Um, okay, let's look at it. Actually, let me use a website that'll be easier for you guys to see. I think it was 63, right? Yes, okay. So why is rasulu here rafa'? So an easy thing to remember, one of our shortcuts to define or to find the invisible is was after harf of nasab and its ism, right? An easy way to find the invisible is after harf of nasab and its ism. And the reason for that is because harf of nasab very often will start a new sentence. Okay, harf of nasab will start a new sentence. So I see innaka, this is the start of a new sentence, or maybe not a new sentence, but a new clause at least. So for example, إذا جاءك المنافقون, when the hypocrites they come to you, they say قالوا نشهد, we testify. Now what are they testifying, right? They testify this whole thing. This is what they're testifying. So they start with innaka, that's the start of a sentence. This is the start of their testimonial. Innaka, certainly you, la rasulullahi. Now here, the word rasulu, there's no reason in this new sentence for it to be anything other than rafa'. We don't have a reason for it to be a detail. It's not the detail of the fi'l anymore because we've started a new sentence. we you, if you didn't understand this concept of harf of nasab and its ism starting a new sentence, then you might say, okay, rasulu is a detail of nashhadu, but it's not anymore because we're not in the same sentence as nashhadu. We're in the innaka sentence now. So this is kind of a sentence inside of a sentence. And if you're confused by that, then it's okay. We haven't really talked about sentences yet, so it's fine to be confused by that right now. If you get it, then alhamdulillah. But because we're in this new innaka sentence, there's no reason for rasulu to be nasab. There's no reason for rasulu to be jar. So it's going to be rafa by default. That's why it's rafa. The lam of emphasis, different types exist, Isa. Um, so we'll learn that. Can you attach a pronoun to a passive verb? Uh, I want to say yes, but I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. So I'll ask Ustad about that too. Can I go through the ta'allama family with a different root? Yes, I can. Okay, let's go to ta'allama. Or let's do another. Let's see. Okay, let's do tafahama. So we'll be doing the root fahamim. Tafahama yatafahamu tafahuman فهو متفهم تفهم يتفهم تفهما فهو متفهم الأمر منه تفهم والنهي عنه لا تتفهم والظرف منه متفهم. There you go. That's تعلم with a different root. Let me just make the font smaller so we can fit it all. There we go. Why does the fa'il on the active line have a kasra, shouldn't have fatha? No, we learned yesterday, Ustad mentioned that the ism fa'il always, and also before that, Khadija, don't call it the fa'il. It's not the fa'il, it's an ism fa'il. Two different terms, two different sciences. Fa'il is from nahu, ism fa'il is from sarf. Okay? So um, we learned that ism fa'il will always have the kasra. Ism maf'ul will always have the fatha. No, it's not al-amru minhu tafahim. It's al-amru minhu tafaham. When do we put the attached pronoun he or whom? Well, you would need a reason to first. You don't just do it for whatever, just for fun, right? So, for example, if I were saying, um, again, if I'm talking about the word to write, so kataba, he wrote, and I wanted to say he wrote it, then I could say katabahu, he wrote it. So now I have a reason. I'm saying something with that who. I'm saying it, and that's when I would put who. Or darabahu, he hit him. Now that who represents him. So you would put it whenever you want to add something, add some context, add some details to the fi'l. Why not tafahim? Because remember, the command form and the forbidding form, they come from the present tense, active. So the present tense active is yatafahamu with a fatha. Yatafahamu. So then the command and the forbidding also have fatha. Is there a way to start from the beginning? Well, all the recordings are available for all of the intensives. So the way to start from the beginning would be to go to day 1 of intensive 1 and watch from there. In yesterday's review session, I went over how to convert fi'ls from active to passive, both past and present. So if you want to review that, then watch at the beginning of yesterday's review session, inshallah. What are the harakat? Okay, I got you. 1 second. Okay. There you go. These are all of the harakat with their names. Um, Actually, I'll just put them on different lines. That'll be easier. So if you have the line on top of a letter, if you have the line on top of a letter, that's called fatha, and it makes the ah sound. If you have the line underneath a letter, that's called kasra, and it makes the e sound. If you have this little wow-looking symbol on top of a letter, that's dhamma, and it makes the u sound. If you have a circle, or sometimes you'll also see like kind of like a backwards half C shape, depending on the script you're using. This is sukoon. This one doesn't have any vowel. It's it's um it's just a full stop. And then shadda, it's a it's kind of like a hold. So you can have shadda, and then shadda will always be paired with another vowel. So either the fatha, the kasra, or the dhamma with it. These are the different harakat. Why can't the command of tansuru be tansur, but the command of ta'allama becomes ta'allam? Okay, well, here's your misconception. For tansuru, you're using the present tense, and for ta'allama, you're using the past tense. So you need to be consistent. It always comes from the present tense, not from the past tense, okay? Always from the present, not from the past. So the first word is nasara yansuru. That's the first word. The second word is ta'allama yata'allamu. For both of these, we need to treat it the same way. We're not going to look at the past for either of them. Okay? We're only going to look at the present. The command and the forbid come from the present. Okay? We need to do two things, sometimes three. Okay, let me say it this way. We have three possible steps we need to take. Okay? Three possible steps to convert to a command. Okay. I'll list them out and then I'll show you how they work. And why I'll show you why for ta'allam we have the ta at the beginning and why for yansuru we have a hamza at the beginning. Um, Okay. The first step is make the fi'l lightest. Second, remove the ya at the beginning. Then the third step is optional. Not optional, but it won't always be used. If the first letter starts with sukun or shadda, then we add an alif at the beginning, a hamzatul wasl at the beginning. Okay, so these are the three steps. You take your present tense and you follow these three steps. Make it lightest, remove the ya at the beginning, and then if you're left with a sukun or a shadda as the first on the first letter, then you have to add the alif. Okay, so taking these three steps into account, we can do both yansuru and yata'allamu. Let's look at yansuru first. So yansuru, first we need to make it lightest. The lightest form, remember, has a sukun at the end. So yansuru becomes yansur. Then we remove the first letter. And now we're left with sur. Sur. And this doesn't make any sense. This is why we add the alif, because you can't start on a sukun in Arabic. You can't start on a sukun or a shadda in Arabic. You need something before it. So we add the alif at the beginning, and then we're left with unsur. And this alif could change. It could be a kasra as well, depending on the context. In this case, it's a dhamma. Unsur. Now let's do the same thing with uh, yata'allamu. So again, let's make it lightest first. Yata'allam. Then we remove the first letter. And if it starts with sukun or shadda, we add the alif. In this case, it doesn't start with sukun or shadda, so we don't need to add the alif. All we're left with is ta'allam, and that's where we get al-amru minhu ta'allam. So that's how we create the command from the present tense. Hamzat al-wasl is that alif that you were saying at the beginning of unsur. I mean, even if you start from the third person or the second person, your end result will be the same. If you start with yata'allamu or tata'allamu, you're still going to end with ta'allam. It doesn't make a difference where you start. But you are right. You can only command in second person. Why don't you broadcast the review on the Bayyinah site? I don't have the permission or whatever access is required to start a stream on the Bayyinah site yet. So that's why. Should you use Microsoft Edge for Arabic studies? I mean, if that's what you like, then sure. This is the last intensive, or the last day of the third intensive of Sana. Okay, we're at 10:32. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll take like one more question and then I'll stop, inshallah. And then Ustad should be here in the next couple of minutes to start the class. I'm not sure about Q&A yet for the next 4 days. That's something that Ustad will let you guys know about today. at the end of today's class. Do I have a cat? I don't have a cat. Interesting question, though. How do you recognize the families immediately? Memorize them well. That's the best tip I can give you. Will there be a test after this intensive? No, there won't. Intensive 4. What's my last name? I'm not going to give you my last name. Intensive 4 is going to be the same as intensive 3 again. So we're going to be going over sarf again in intensive 4. So we might have a test at the end of intensive 4, but we won't after this one. Do I have tips to memorize? Just repeat it a lot. That's my best tip. Honestly, like people can give you like, life hacks or whatever to help memorize things better, but um, it's just repetition. Excuse me. It's just repetition. Some people need to repeat it more, some people need to repeat it less, but at the end of the day, it's just repetition. Do I have a fish? I don't have a fish either. Good guesses, though. My Arabic accent is amazing. Well, thank you. Can I do a face reveal? Maybe in Jannah. Do I have a face? I do have a face. Alhamdulillah, I have a face. Okay, I'm gonna end it there, inshallah. So jazakumullah khairan, all of you for coming out and asking your questions. And inshallah, we continue these review sessions with the next intensive bi'idhnillah. So subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.